guys, it's me, Shal360, and I'm here to do the review for episode 12 of Descendants of the Sun so that I can go ahead and do 13 and 14. But episode 12 felt really weird to me. It felt like a finale episode for some reason. Like, I felt like all the loose ends were tied up. There are a few things that are still kind of out there, which one of them I saw is going to immediately be addressed in episode 13, and it's the guy from North Korea. In case you're wondering what I'm talking about, at the very beginning of episode 1, if you recall, we were first introduced to Big Boss and Wolf while they were doing a hostage extraction from the border between North and South Korea. And Big Boss got into hand-to-hand combat with one of the soldiers from North Korea, and the guy introduced himself. Well, when it comes to dramas, nobody gets a name unless they're going to be a really important person in the drama. And if you don't believe me, what is the name of the little boy that Onu gives the tennis shoes to? And no, his name is not Goat. Exactly. If you're not a big character, you don't get a name. So that's why I'm kind of like, all right then. Well, it looks like they're having some kind of battle in Korea. Who could that be? It's got to be this guy from North Korea because he's like the only loose end we have right now. But yeah, everything else, though, that happened in Urk seems to have been tied up in Urk when they get ready to go home. So at the beginning of episode 12, Big Boss is on his way to get Dr. Kong out of August's clutches and, bring the hammer down on August. And Wolf finds out about Big Boss leaving to do this, and he assembles the troop and is like, listen, I am fixing to go in there and help Big Boss on this rescue mission. You could die doing this, and we can't go in there dressed like soldiers. But, if you want to do it, cool, come with me. If you don't, I'm not going to look at you ugly. Well, all the members of Team Alpha are like, fuck it, I'm coming with you, brother. Let's go do this. And I thought that was really fun. That was really cool. And then, of course, Wolf goes to Lieutenant Yoon and lets her know, hey, I'm fixing to go do this because, this is my brother. It's what I got to do. And she's like, you know what, baby, I understand. You're a soldier. Just come back alive. Which I really like those. I really like those two together. They're so cute. So cute. But anyway, Alpha Team shows up just in time. Big Boss is about to be shot, and they actually shoot the guy that was about to shoot Big Boss, and then they all go into kind of like, team mode and start really setting up to take August down. So there's a confrontation in the hallway between August and Big Boss. Big Boss has got a gun trained on August. August, though, has something for that ass. He's got a explosive bomb vest strapped to Dr. Kong, and he's got the detonator in his hand. If his thumb moves, the vest will explode. So Big Boss is kind of like, fuck, what are we going to do? We have a setup, but what are we going to do? They managed to somehow identify that the sensor between the detonator and the vest is on Dr. Kong's shoulder. Big Boss shoots the sensor, which makes it to where they don't have to worry about August's thumb coming off the detonator. So then a firefight takes place, and August's men are getting shot. It looks like August has gotten shot, is taken down. And then Snoopy, cute little nickname, takes the detonation vest off of Dr. Kong. But just as they manage to take that off and throw the vest out the window, August kind of emerges from supposed death and has a gun and is ready to start shooting. He manages to not get Dr. Kong, but that's because Big Boss kind of shields her with his body. The bullet goes in Big Boss's back, but he's got on like a bulletproof vest. Well, he turns around with his gun and he just unloads on August, kills him. And while he's shooting him, he's crying because you have to understand he's watching somebody who he had a lot of respect for turn into the most despicable type of person on earth. And if it wasn't bad enough that August was selling weapons to bad guys, if it wasn't bad enough that he was trafficking young girls into prostitution, if it wasn't bad enough that he was turning little boys into war soldiers, if it wasn't bad enough that he was, threatening death upon people left, right, and a third, what makes it even worse is that, he's about to kill the person who Big Boss really loves. And also, this guy is somebody who was supposed to be someone like Big Boss. Like, think about how noble and honorable Big Boss is. Well, I think in Big Boss's world, that's what soldiers are. They're honorable, stand-up guys who live by an unspoken rule of respect and a code of conduct that should never be undermined. And by having to shoot August, he's had to call into question everything that it means to be a soldier and who's the man behind a soldier. Because how can you go from being a person who's supposed to be out there protecting people to being the thing that you're protecting people from? And when they get back to base after the rescue mission, You know, Big Boss looks at this picture of him and August together, and he thinks about their time together, and he breaks down because it's a lot. It's a lot to have to kill somebody that you thought was a friend, you know, to have to do that and know that you had to do it because there was no other choice. It's a lot. And Dr. Kong tries to comfort him a bit, but she's got her own issues to deal with. She got shot in the shoulder from Big Boss shooting the sensor. It grazed her shoulder, and while she's being treated and everybody's like, oh, I bet it was so cool being rescued and you've been through a lot today, she just breaks down. You know, the weight of everything that's been going on and her being frightened for like the last 24 or 48 hours is just too much for her, and she breaks down. And the next day, her and Big Boss meet in the field, and she's like, you know, I need to think about this. You know, because she had accepted their relationship. She was down for it. But after being on the receiving end of some really heinous stuff, she's like, I really have to think about this. Because I know that you've lied to me. And I don't think that you've lied to me because you don't love me or because you're a bad guy. I know you've lied to me because you just can't tell me what's going on with your life. But how am I supposed to have a normal relationship with you and complain to you about, you know, my electric bill went up this month, or complain to you about somebody at work who's like pissing me off, when you're out there rescuing people and taking bullets for people? What you do is so important, and you can't even share your frustrations with me because these are all things you're not even supposed to talk about in the first place. After a while, I'm going to feel like I can't talk to you because everything I'm going to talk to you about is going to be so worthless compared to what you do. And he's like, so are we breaking up? And she's like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I need to think about things. Well, she takes some time to think about things, and she goes to the big hall, whatever, the mess hall that they hang out at. And she's like, I need you to make me coffee. He makes her coffee, and when they're meeting for coffee, she hugs him and basically says, you know, I am going to talk about small things, and I'm going to worry about you. And what I need you to do is I need you to let me know when I can worry about you. I know you're going to have to lie to me. I know you're going to not ever really be able to share everything that's going on with you in this job, but I don't want to be worried about you every single time you walk out the front door. I need you to let me know, like, when is an appropriate time to be worried about you and when you're just being, you know, my man. And so they didn't split up, which was really nice. So I feel like that all got wrapped up pretty good. And then with Lieutenant Yoon and Wolf, Lieutenant Yoon, when Wolf comes back from the search and rescue mission, she leaves the quarantine area to try to meet him at the chopper, but he meets her before she falls down the stairs because she's still pretty sick. But yeah, they have a nice little reunion, and they're back together, and she's just like, you know, I like you so much. She's like, I like you too, baby. And they're doing really well. And so she tells him that she wants some ginger stew, and he makes the stew. Him and Big Boss get together, Wolf and Big Boss get together to make this ginger stew. And somehow or another, this causes Dr. Kong and Lieutenant Yoon to have an argument about an ex-boyfriend in front of their new boyfriends. And of course, these guys are like, I want to kill that guy, whoever this guy is that's got you still thinking about him. And Dr. Kong goes up to Big Boss later on and is like, you know, I just want you to know, this guy, he's nothing. Because when it comes down to it, you are the most important man in my world right now. Like, I've gone through car accidents with you. I'm almost drowned. I've been shot, kidnapped, everything else. It's all you. Don't worry about that guy. So yeah, that was cool. Like I said, they wrapped that all up. Who else got wrapped up? We didn't get Song and Dance wrapped up, but Dr. Song had been complaining about the shirtless military guys jogging through camp every day for the girls to look at. And so their last day at camp, who comes around the corner? Dr. Song, shirtless, wearing a pair of shorts, even though he was in boxers. And he's like, hey, ladies, you know, if y'all want to have something to look at me. And it's just so funny because he's so cute. He's so cute. And, of course, Nurse Dance is kind of like, you know, I don't want to talk about my feelings right now. But, you know, she's feeling him. She's feeling him. Onu, his storyline got wrapped up. His test results about whether or not he had the M3 virus are delivered by Lazy Bones, which, you know, I feel like this is a violation of medical privacy laws, but maybe they're different in Korea. But yeah, he's like, you know, here's your results. Glad you're not dead. I'm not going to apologize for being mean to you earlier, but you don't need to apologize either anymore. So that got all wrapped up. Then Onu goes to see the little kid, the little hungry kid, who's been in the episode several times but still doesn't get a name. And he gives the kid like a pair of limited edition shoes, and he tells him like, either you can wear these later or you can sell them for money because there's only 50 pairs of these in the world. Like this kid, think about where this kid is. Who is he going to sell these limited edition shoes to? He probably doesn't have access to like eBay to get them auctioned off to the highest bidder, and there's probably nobody around that's going to pay like big money for tennis shoes when they're all trying to eat. But anyway, he's going to give these tennis shoes to this kid. Well, this kid does not speak Korean, and Onu keeps talking to this kid in Korean like he understands it. And the kid's like, I don't want these damn shoes. I want a goat. And in case you guys are wondering why this kid would ask for a goat, this kid's actually being pretty ballsy right now. So for those of you who don't know, a goat is one of the most valuable animals in the world. Why is a goat so valuable? Because a goat is one of the most hardy animals in the world. Goats can provide milk. You can eat the meat of a goat. Goats can live in places where there's not a lot of grass or other like vegetation for them to eat. You can also breed goats, which you can create a herd of goats. So, I mean, goats have a lot of uses on a lot of different levels. Even the skin of the goat can be used to make like clothing, textiles, leather goods, stuff like that. So, like, a goat is a big deal. So, by this kid asking for a goat, he's asking for something pretty valuable, almost like asking for a car. But, I mean, definitely not as vain as asking for a car, but he is asking for something that really could change him and his family's lives. And it's something that he actually legitimately does need, not like he needs these limited edition tennis shoes. But Dr. Onu, of course, doesn't understand the little boy's language and is like, oh, I'm going to miss you too, kid. What's your name? Well, the kid keeps saying, I want a goat. I want a goat. And whatever the Irk word is for goat, that's what Dr. Onu thinks the kid's name is. So he's like, I'm going to miss you too, goat. Dr. Onu. Oh, Dr. Onu. I feel like nothing's changed for Dr. Onu. He is still this, like, really naive, rich brat at the end of the day. But I still love him, though. I love his big smile. I love his happiness. I'm glad that this was an episode that didn't have any more of the crying Dr. Onu. So, thumbs up to that. And then, of course, I think the last person we need to check on is Cesar Millan. He's in the hospital. He's recovering. They tell Cesar Millan, hey, buddy, you're doing better, but fuck you for bringing your problems and your illnesses to all of us here in the Medicube. And, of course, you know, because he's, you know, king asshole, he's like, so where are my diamonds? And she's like, good news. Your diamonds have been turned over to the Korean government, and when you get well enough to be transferred, you're going to be deported to Korea, where you're going to be facing punishment for diamond smuggling. So, happy ending for everybody. And at the end of the episode, everybody takes like a group picture, and the rest of the team from Haesung go back to the hospital in Korea. And that's it. That is episode 12. And that's why I say, like, oh, almost forgot. Fatima. Her storyline ends in a way that I feel kind of comfortable with, but I kind of don't. Dr. Kong still wants to take care of Fatima, but of course she can't bring Fatima back to the United States. So instead, Fatima is going to be left with somebody in Urk. She doesn't leave Fatima with Daniel and the nurse. Instead, she leaves Fatima with a lady named Valentine, who is the bar owner in the village, which I feel like that's a good choice because I feel like Valentine is kind of a street smart woman, and I think Fatima is on her way to being street smart. She just needs good guidance. She needs the kind of woman that will let her, you know, use her sexuality as a weapon rather than being controlled by it, because the bartender, she's kind of a sexy lady, but she's not a prostitute, and she even tells them, like, we don't sell sex here. But she also kind of is smart. She recognizes good from bad, and I think she has the kind of sense that you need to have to survive in a place like that. And I think Fatima, she's on her way to getting it. So I think leaving her with the barkeep is good, because if she takes the lessons from this woman that she can get, along with the education that Dr. Kong is willing to pay for her, she could be somebody that affects a lot of change in her community. And that is something that, like, in real life would be awesome. This is all make-believe world, but I'm just saying in real life, you know, it is the women that can help make changes in their society, because the men will go off and they'll fight. Who's left at home? Women and children. And it takes strong women to help these communities survive in the face of wars. So yeah, I think that it's a nice kind of last little lesson to leave on the whole thing. But yeah, that was episode 12, and I look forward to episode 13 and 14, because now we're going to have some trouble on the Korean home front. And I think this means that we only have like one more week of the show left, because 13 and 14 have already aired. I'm just behind on doing the review, but I think it was supposed to be a 16 episode run, so that means that next week is the last 2 episodes of this show. I feel like it's went by really quickly. But yeah, I will talk to you guys later. I hope you enjoyed this review. Bye.